the challenges that exist with using resistance training as a fat loss tool. And the fact that we're even having this conversation is somewhat weird to me, but it isn't. And when I say weird, just like I never, ever thought about lifting weights as a means to lose body fat.
Or as a caloric burn.
Yeah, and I just wonder where this came from. And I think I probably know, but I'm curious where you guys think about that.
Man, I feel like I can identify a lot with it, seeing it, I think through the devices of people wanting to always see what their caloric burn is. I've had a lot of conversations with clients where they're like, how many calories do you burn in a resistance training workout? And I've tried to you can't equate. There's so much of the recovery pro. Yes, exactly. And so that the idea is even when they could be coming here doing strength, threes, and they're still how many calories am I burning? What's my heart rate, variability, things like that. And I think it's the mindset shift of identifying what is the goal for people? What should the goal of whatever you're doing be? And I think a lot of the goal is weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. So that's what people view exercise as oh, I just need to lose weight, so I'm going to exercise, but they don't understand the intention of whatever they're doing, regardless of what form of exercise it is.
Yeah, that's an important word there with that word intention.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's become the gamification of fitness. So, I mean, Orange Theory, F45, looking at your device as far as how many calories have I burned.
How many splat points or whatever they call it.
Yeah. I think it's...
Splat points.
Is it
that's what it's called,
It
right?
was. I don't know if they're still doing that or not.
In the last 10 to 15 years is where we've seen it.
Well,
more recently, probably 10.
So what is the thing that's kind of increased exponentially in the last 10 or 15 years?
Access.
Social media.
Computer.
I would also say we just can keep getting fatter and 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 sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker over the last 10 or 15 years. And there could be some correlation there with regard to the phones and the social media and the devices and things like that. I don't think you can argue that. I think we'll probably learn more about that, over time. But at the same time, do I need science to prove that to me? I don't think I do.
Prove what?
Prove that there's a correlation between technology and
our decreasing health.
Yeah, and our
convenience,
our plummeting health,
Yeah.
Health and fitness. So I think that's part of it. You were saying something there a second ago, and I think I cut you off
regarding I
don't know what he was saying there about the.
The gauge of a successful workout is the amount of calories that you've expended.
That's
for sure.
Yeah,
you close an exercise ring.
You're validated.
Yeah.
You're validated. You did it. Yeah.
CrossFit too. I want to throw that out there because it's been around longer than 10 years, but it's been, 20 years or so, right? When it started to become more accessible to mainstream population.
Crazy to think that, but that's exactly how long it's been around. Yeah. And that was a different deal. That was about getting to the end of the workout, not necessarily about burning calories, but those workouts burned a lot of calories, right? So I think about where did this start? How did people draw the conclusion? Again, I think what happens is people mix things up in their head. They're trying to finish the story. But if you go back to when physique started to become important, right? And it was kind of recognized, maybe even the mainstream, you just go back to the late 60s and early 70s.
I was just going to say the Twiggy era.
Well, you go back to the bodybuilding era when you had guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the where physiques were starting to become a recognized thing.
Celebrated,
And celebrated. And, obviously there was weightlifting that was happening there. When I say weightlifting, I mean the lifting of weights, not necessarily Olympic weightlifting again, that's the technical term for that.
Yeah.
But, or the official term for what you see happen in the Olympics, the snatch, the clean, and the jerk type stuff. But pardon me, the other part is you saw those guys lifting weights, and then obviously they would diet down for a show to lean up. But those guys were never fat guys. None of those guys were fat guys to begin with.
Yeah.
They were always, well, I want to say always, but they were in pretty good shape, or they were certainly not overweight going into it. Yeah. So they weren't using lifting weights to lose fat. They were lifting weights to build muscle and strength. And some of it might have been the chicken or the egg. For some of those guys, they were power lifters before, and that just turned into the bodybuilding thing because it kind of made sense. And it was getting a lot of attention, and there was ways to compete outside, and it was becoming very accessible to compete outside, powerlifting. which was still a bit obscure at the time. But that said, like those guys never lifted weights to lose body fat. Those guys lifted weights to get the gains, to get jacked.
Hypertrophy.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of always where it's been. And then somewhere along the line, people forgot how to lift weights. And it got kind of weird there for a while. And then all of a sudden, it's like they rediscovered it, and like there's this brand new magic of lifting weights to have better health and have a better physique.
Yeah.
And now it's been completely bastardized into like, this is the formula for losing body fat. I want to talk about that. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is the people choosing weightlifting is like, well, if I want to lose body fat, I have to go strength train. I have to go lift weights. And while, yes, there could be some truth in that, the reality of that is like, you've left so much off of the table here. So maybe we just come back to that and kind of talk about kind of what you guys have been hearing and seeing and what sparked this.
I suppose what sparked it and kind of how I tie it all together is what is the role of resistance training for weight loss and fat loss? Because, I mean, obviously, when we have new clients come in here, what is their goal? Basically, every single time, it's, gain some muscle, but more often they want to lose fat or they want to lose weight. Yeah. That's the primary goal. So where does resistance training fit in their goals? Like what role does it serve? What purpose does it serve? And I think where things get maybe conflated is, is my resistance training a means to caloric expenditure, or is it a means to building muscle and all of the downstream benefits that will affect weight loss that come from building muscle? But I'm here lifting weights to build muscle. That is my intention, not here to expend as many calories as possible.
Yeah.